What's up, YouTube? I'm the Nice One, and today we are going to be making a Warhammer Quest Ranger kind of character. I'm continuing down my little journey of making all of the Warhammer Quest classes for my board game. So today I'm going to be making the Ranger, one of the most famous and iconic characters, particularly a really strong one. But I'm going to be making it in my style and kind of what I imagine a Ranger to look like. As per usual, a couple housekeeping. I'm going to be using a base model to get started. It saves me some time when it comes to modeling so that I don't have to recreate elements. I'll post the base model online so that you can just download it yourself, and then we can start from the same place. Another thing, I highly recommend making sure that your scene collection is organized into the component parts of the character. This will help keep all of the pieces organized when you're doing this kind of box modeling style approach to character creation. And then finally, in the bottom right here, you're going to see that I have my keystrokes saved so that you can see what I'm clicking as I go through. This just saves me some time from speaking out loud as to what I'm doing, but I'll try my best to describe what I'm doing as I go through. But if you ever need to see what my keystrokes are, you can just look down here. Anyway, that should be it. So I'm going to try and keep this under... Last time I said I would do it in 30 minutes, and it took me about 2 hours. So this time I'm going to say I'm going to try and get this done in about 1 hour. That's what I'm going to give myself to finish this Elf Ranger character. So let's get started. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is drop a cube down here in the center. Maybe go bring it forward a little bit. And then I'm going to be box modeling some hair pieces from this single cube. So I'm going to be dropping some edge loops here. And I also want to make sure that I bring this down to a size that I like. And after that, I'm going to make sure that the vertices are connected at a single edge point, at a single point essentially. So drop a couple edge loops here and then go into vertex mode, maybe select all these guys, select the center, and then go merge at last because it's the last point I clicked. And then maybe I'm going to do enter face select mode, select these ones right here, like that, and then bring it up a little bit. All right, cool, that looks good. Now let's add a subdivision surface so that we see how this looks out when it's a little bit rounded. And then we will maybe up the levels so that we cut a couple of smooth out a little bit. Maybe add one more edge loop here, and that should be good for the starting point. Cool. So I'm going to use this as the base hair piece to essentially start making a hairline and just like the individual strands that I like. So let's flip this around and then maybe bring this like right here, something like that. Yeah, something like that is good. And then essentially what I'm going to be doing is going into the individual vertices and just moving it around and rotating it around so that it kind of curves around the character's head as your hair might do normally, right? Maybe something like this, and like that. Bring this down here, maybe grab these guys, do something like that, and some rotates. You'll see the reason I'm doing this in like skeleton mode, in wireframe and doing the vertices, is because when I do this, if I just select this, you'll notice that I actually only select one vertice right here, as opposed to the other ones behind. So that's because from this perspective, it looks like they're lined up. They're essentially lined up. I can't really see anything because I'm also in orthographic point of view. Now, I always make sure I box select like that, just so that I can always make sure that I'm selecting all the vertices so this thing moves around as I want it to. Anyway, that's pretty good to start. And then we will take this mesh and essentially loop it around to make a bit of a hairline, to make a bit of a starting hairline here. Let's maybe increase this You go like that. This, let me rotate it down even more. Perfect. And then let's see if we can go mesh object. Actually, you know what? This should be fine. Next up, we will be basically duplicating this hair piece around the hair to make a hairline, right? So you can go in later and tweak the hair as you see fit. But right now I'm just trying to do this quickly and make just a rough character. Just a rough idea where all the hair will go. Because I'm doing this chibi style, sort of like cutesy, over-exaggerated look. I'm going to be focusing on making sure the proportions are a little kind of disproportionate, if I'm honest with you. Because I personally like that kind of style. I think that looks cool, especially in like a fantasy setting where we often see characters that are very realistic. So I kind of like doing something that's a bit more, I don't know, different than what you normally see. I'm very drawn to like Arcadia Quest, for example. And Arcadia Quest has always been a great inspiration for some of these kind of characters. Okay, cool. So that's not bad for like the top half of the hair. Maybe we'll add some bangs, right? So to do that, what I think I'll do is I'll do the same thing. We'll drop a cube right here, bring it up, GZ, GY, and then go into edit mode like this, like that, and maybe one more like this, and then go into, make sure I turn on these, make sure I select all of these vertices and bring them down a little bit, and then make sure I select the bottom ones, and then do a merge at the bottom here, merge at last, there we go. Cool, bring this up, and then I could probably scale this in a little bit like that. Maybe scale it in like this a touch, and bring this guy up a little bit, and then add a subdivision modifier, subdivide it a couple times, maybe scale it along the X a little bit, like this. Perfect. Maybe bump that up. And then we can probably use this as like a bit of a, well, we'll use this to make some bangs, you know. We'll do that, and then maybe we'll rotate this around like this. Do like that, and then like this. Scale this guy up and move it right here, kind of dead center to his head. Yeah, I think I kind of like that. And then we'll duplicate this around as well. And essentially what we're going to be doing is using this mesh to kind of hide the weird joints, the weird junctures between the top half of the hair and the bottom half. Bring this in like that. And then maybe take this forward a little bit. Okay, cool. Bring this guy up a little bit and bring this back. Honestly, maybe we'll even bring this down. Something like that. Yeah, something like that. Kind of curves down. Like this. Oh yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm here for that. And then we'll duplicate this front one again and do something like this. Do some rotations. Like that. Perfect. Cool. Okay, nice. Okay, cool. I think that's not bad to start. Alright, good. So we got the starting of a hair. Essentially now what we'll do is we don't need to get too crazy with this by like making every individual piece of hair But what I will do is duplicate some pieces I've used before and essentially reuse it as an asset to make my life a bit easier when I'm making the rest of this character's head. So we'll do something like this. So you see how I essentially duplicated the top piece of his head. Yeah, there we go. And then I just overlaid it underneath as like a second layer of hair. Like doing slight modifications to give it a little bit of variance. But I find this to make it, especially if I'm trying to do this in an hour, I find this to make my life a little bit easier when it comes to character modeling. Yeah, okay, cool. So that's not too bad. It's got a bit of a side shave, so let's get rid of that by making another something kind of sitting around his temple a little bit. Yeah, we'll scale that guy up a little bit, and then maybe we'll do something like this, and maybe one more piece, kind of like this. Cool. Sure, yeah. All right, I'm here for that. Cool. And then let's do the same thing on the opposite side. Nope. Oh, so one thing to keep in mind. If you ever accidentally duplicate something and delete it and you have it in the same place as you did, I would highly suggest double checking to make sure you don't have any overlapping mesh. So if I move this, for example, you'll see that there was actually a head underneath because I duplicated something on accident that I didn't mean to. And making sure you don't have duplicates is good because you end up, when you have overlapping mesh like that, it gives you problems when it comes to character modeling, character rendering, and 3D printing after the fact. So just make sure that your mesh is clean and you don't have any duplicates. There's other ways of doing this, but for example, you could do like a merge by distance technique, which if you're curious, I can show you at another point when we're like polishing this off. Merge by distance helps you essentially combine vertices that are within a specific distance of each other. So you can put something impossibly small, like 0.00000 millimeters, in order to target anything that's overlapping. So it's a good technique. But because I kind of saw which meshes I had duplicated, I just went and deleted each one. All right, cool. Yeah, you know what? I think this is good enough for now. Yeah, this is good enough for now. I think what we'll maybe do is take maybe these three pieces right here, duplicate them one more time, and then maybe scale them largely on the x-axis, rotate these like that, and same thing here, and maybe bring this guy out like this, and then rotate it down, and then go around. What you see me doing there was hitting 6 on my numpad so that I can position the camera at increments around the character or around a particular axis. So for example, if I hit 1, I get front. If I get 3, I get profile. And if I hit 6, I start to rotate around the character's view like this. So that helps keep things in perspective and keeps everything, it helps you get a good view of your character. All right, perfect. There we go. We got kind of a stylized character head right now. Love it. I think I said that this character was an elf, right? So maybe we should try and make some elf ears or something. Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea, right? So to do that, I'm going to do something similar, more box modeling. So we're going to make a cube, bring it up on the Z, and then bring it forward on the Y. And then we're going to add an edge loop right here, here, maybe here. Perfect. Now let's scale this in a little bit and scale it up a touch and maybe rotate it kind of like how we would want an ear to kind of look, like maybe something like this. And then let's drop an edge loop right here. And then maybe one more like right here. Right here. And now let's start boxing out the general shape of an ear. So I'm going to basically do something like this. Yeah, kind of like elves have these really big pointy ears, right? So I want to make sure I capture that aspect to them. Something like this, right? Essentially. Yeah, maybe it flops down a little bit. Essentially what I'm doing here is roughing out a general shape of the ear that I think would be good. And then I'm going to add a subdivision surface modifier and I'm going to kind of clean it up after that. So I'm just getting an approximate shape of what I think this ear should look like. Okay, cool. And then again, you see me using the box selection tool to make sure I hit all of the vertices that I need to hit as I'm going through. Yeah, okay, cool. So next up, we will add a subdivision surface, like that, and then we could probably give it a little bit of thickness. So if I scale this along the x-axis, give it some thickness like that. Yeah, and then maybe bump up the levels a little. Cool, perfect. Now I can, if you notice, I still have my subdivision on, but I can still modify the underlying mesh without messing up, without having to expand the subdivision. This helps a lot because it essentially gives you an approximation of what your subdivision will do, but still allow you to work with the mesh underneath that doesn't have too many vertices. All right, cool. I think I'm okay with this. So what I'm going to do is bring this guy up right here. Maybe look at the top view and do a little rotate like this. Bring it back like that. Bring it maybe down. Maybe do something like this where rotate it like that. Okay, cool. And then bring this in a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. I think that generally gives you the idea of elf ears, right? I might have to hide it a little bit behind this hairpiece. Like I might have to move this hairpiece around a little bit so that it doesn't look like it's overlapping too much around. But essentially, yeah, there we go. Cool. Perfect. Oh, there we go. Perfect. That looks pretty good. Now, what I'm going to do is add a mirror modifier, and I'm going to mirror it around this circle right here. And what that lets me do is make a perfect duplicate on the opposite side. Yeah, lets me make a perfect duplicate on the opposite side. You can target a particular mesh in order to use the mirror modifier. You don't always have to mirror along like the mesh is a line of symmetry. You can pick something else and use that as a mirror target. And I use that all the time because it means that I can just essentially model one half of the character and then duplicate to the other side or mirror to the other side to get perfect symmetry. And that helps me immensely when I'm doing my character modeling stuff. Sorry, what I'm doing here now is just tweaking the hair bits so that there's not too much overlap with the ears and everything. So yeah, doing just something like that. And boom. I think we are good to call it here. I think this looks great. Maybe I need to like bump it up a little bit like that. But I think we got an elf so far. We got like an elf character. Yeah, it looks great. Awesome. So next up, I think we're going to move on to doing the body. And then we're going to try and we're going to move down essentially. We're going to do the torso, arms, legs, and then finish with any sort of extra details that we want to do. Now, for the body, I think what I want to do is, I think I'm going to give him a little shoulder pauldron. Or I would actually like to give him a hood. That would be kind of cool. So we're going to do, how should we do this? Okay, you know what? We'll do this plain style. So know what? No, actually, we'll do this in cube format. So we'll go bring a cube in, raise it to the x-axis like this, and then bring it forward on the y. And then let's scale this down a little bit, scale it like that, scale it in even more like this. And then we'll use this as a starting point for his hood. So we will take the ear, we'll take the right side here, and actually, before we even do that, we'll drop an edge loop down here, and then we'll delete these vertices and add a mirror modifier, making sure that we mirror around the line of symmetry. Next, we'll apply we'll turn on clipping, and we'll be able to grab this edge and start moving it around to essentially start shaping a hood. So I'm going to box out essentially just a super rough shape of a hood, like this, like that, and then hit E. So what you see me doing is hitting E to extrude out, and then E extrusions will allow me to essentially extend the mesh, the original mesh that I had made, and make kind of like a little collar like this. So cool, looks pretty good. Next up, we will take these right here, these meshes. We will take those 3 meshes and we'll extend it down. We'll extend it down like this. And then we will probably do a little edge loop straight down here to close it all off. So let's select an edge loop right here. And then we'll go into face selection mode and select these guys. Select those guys. And we'll do an E to extrude. And then snap it, collapse it down the center like this. Scale it down, and there we go. Now we have a rough hood, essentially. Now obviously this is sort of a rough box shape, so if we apply a mirror modifier, I think a subdivision surface, that'll help smooth out everything for us. Perfect. Cool. Let's see if we can delete these faces here without breaking the mesh. Okay, cool. Yeah, perfect. Let's select this and delete this face. Unneeded faces. And then let's go into vertex select mode and start moving some of these around a little bit so that we can get a rough hood shape to it. Like that. Maybe do a little rotate like this. That. Maybe bring this guy in like that. And then I think maybe pop open the hood so it arches a little bit like this. And then this guy will kind of sit more like on the chest, like that. Do a little rotate. Okay, yeah, cool. All right, we got kind of like a rough hood. Obviously this is not the cleanest hood, but again, we're trying to do this in a short period of time. So you can always go back in and fix the mesh as you see fit. But I think for what I'm trying to do right now, I think this is probably good enough. They do like that. Yeah, something like that. Another thing you could do after you're done making this rough box model is go into the sculpting tools and basically smooth it all out with some of the brushes they have there. Sculpting will helps a lot when it comes to finishing off these characters and just adding some of the details that you really want to see. Okay, cool. So let's select this face here and like raise it just a little bit. Raise it a touch. Yeah, cool. And then we'll scale this like that. All right, great. He's got a hood now. Love that. All right, cool. So our ranger is coming together with a hood. It's got a head. Next up, what I think we'll do is make, I think we'll start with this top torso bit. Yeah, so we'll do this top torso bit, and sort of, I guess what I imagine Rangers to be wearing is things like leather armor. Sort of lighter, lets you walk around, move around pretty efficiently and effectively. So I think we're going to do sort of layers of leather armor on his chest here. And then we'll turn that into like a pauldron, maybe with a little tunic and maybe some gloves. So to do that, I think what I'll do is this time I'm going to make a plane. I'm going to rotate it forward on the x-axis and then bring this like that. Bring this guy here. And then I think what I'll do is do some mirror modifiers. So we'll delete the vertices here and we'll add a mirror modifier right there. Perfect. And then we'll add an edge loop right here. And essentially what I'm going to do is box out the general shape of the front piece of his armor. So I'm going to basically move these around kind of like this. Maybe take this guy up, move it here, something like that. This, maybe go like that. Make sure my clipping is on so that my vertices don't get separated when I don't want them to be. Okay, cool. I think this is a decent shape. Yeah, I think this is a decent shape for the front, for part of his chest plate. I guess studded leather armor is a good way to describe it. All right, cool. So let's take these things and move it back a little bit. Maybe move this one back a little bit as well. And then move these three here. To sort of round it out around his chest. Yeah, perfect. Just like that. Okay, cool. And then what we'll do is select the whole thing and we'll do an extrusion out to give it some thickness, to give it that like depth and thickness that we like. That might have been extruded a little too much. So let's redo that. Select these and extrude to something like this. Yeah. Okay, cool. I think I'm okay with this. Next up, what I want to do is add a subdivision surface modifier to smooth it out, bump up the levels, and then we're going to sharpen out the edges here. So we're going to select this edge right here and go into Z to make sure everything's selected. We'll go to Control B to put a bevel. Put a bevel with a single loop in the center by scrolling, and we'll do the same thing here. We will select all this good stuff. Control B to bevel, and then make sure that we have one additional loop edge in between the center of the bevel. Next up, we will bevel this edge to sharpen this guy out. Maybe do it a wider angle, like that. And I think I'll do the same thing right here. We'll do something like this. And perfect. Let's edit this like that, and then bring it up a little bit just to, maybe I'll point it down actually. Yeah, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, that looks great. Let's see, I think I would like to move this forward a little bit. Maybe rotate it in and maybe go up. Cool, that is awesome. Next we will position this back down into place. Yeah. Cool. That is great for an initial chest piece. All right, cool. So this looks good as a starting piece. I think actually probably what I should do is take these guys, maybe move them back even more so that it looks like it's rounding a bit more around. Maybe take these guys, go like that, do something like this, maybe bring it forward. Take these guys, Maybe bring this up a little bit as well. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, cool. That looks pretty good. I like that. Next, we will continue doing the front of his, I guess, leather breastplate kind of thing by doing the same thing again. Taking a plane and then rotating it 90 degrees, rotating it along an X 90 degrees so it's forward, and bringing it forward, bringing it like this, and then we will just run an edge loop right here. Delete this guy, add a mirror modifier, not a mask, mirror modifier. And then let's bring this down a little bit. Honestly, this is probably all we really need to do at this point. Let's extrude this. Extrude that up a little bit, maybe even a little bit more. Yeah, and then maybe bring this edge forward a little bit. Probably might be a good idea is if we keep all our mesh on. Probably what would be a good idea is if we do a little edge loop right here, and then maybe bring it back like that. Nope. Let's make sure our clipping is turned on. Bring it back like this, like that. All right, cool. Now, subdivision surface again, and then up the levels, and then let's add bevels around these edges like before. Perfect. Bevel, like that. And then I feel like this edge is a little too sharp for my taste. So we will round it out like this. And then we'll scale this guy up. Something like that. Maybe bring this guy up forward. Maybe add a bevel right here is a good idea. Yeah, perfect. Cool. Yeah, that's perfect. Alright, cool. So let's bring this back now and underneath. So that makes kind of like a layer. Yeah, cool. That looks awesome. Yeah, that looks awesome. Now it's kind of like layers of leather armor going down his front, protecting his front torso. We'll add one more. We'll go into the 3 and we'll add one more, and we'll do something like this. Just to polish it off. And that should be good. Yeah. Okay, that looks sweet. Yeah, that looks really awesome. It's kind of like scale mail or something. Love it. Love to see it. Okay, cool. So next up, we will finish the rest of his chest armor by basically taking that mesh we made just there and then rotating it around the rest of his body to shape out the rest of his top torso, essentially. Shape out the armor of his top torso. So here I am in edge select mode. I think I'm going to rotate this a little bit and then move it around. Cool. And then I'm going to bring this in like that. Let's hide this for a second. Let's rotate this like that. Maybe do something like that. And then maybe rotate it like this. And then maybe bring it in like that. Okay, cool. Obviously there's some weird overlapping pieces here and there, but that's okay. We can deal with that. Okay, if we bring this forward even, we can bring this guy out just like this. Yes, there we go. Cool. Cool. Yeah. Okay, cool. Nice. Yes, that is great. Let's take this guy next, and then we will do the same thing. Rotate along the Z, and then rotate in, maybe scale it in a little bit. And then position this where we see where it makes sense to sort of shape around his torso. Da-na-na. Maybe even scale it down like this. Cool. Okay, great. I'm liking that so far. I think what I'll do is add an edge loop right here. We'll bring this up actually, and then we'll bring it forward like that. And then we'll scale it like this. Bring it back. Perfect. Cool. And then I think what I need to do is bump this guy up to be very large so that it overlaps a little more intensely with the rest of this sort of padded leather armor. Yeah, cool. Okay, great. That's not bad. Okay. We're going to have a little cloth here around his shoulder to sort of, it's kind of like a tunic underneath his armor. All right, great. Let's keep going because I give myself a time limit for this, and I want to make sure I try to stick to that as much as possible, even though every other video I've done has been over time. So I'm trying to keep it shorter, or at least keep it within a single video. That'd be nice. Okay, great. So we will next add the pauldron. So to do that, I think we'll just take a plane again. We will rotate it forward like that, bring it up, and bring it in like this, and then we will add an edge loop right here. Perfect. And then essentially, let's delete those edges on this side right here, like that, and add a mirror modifier. And start duplicating around. And essentially I'm going to do it a couple times, and I'll take these edges right here and maybe do one extrusion down. Make sure I turn on clipping. I thought I had an overlapping edge for a second, so I just want to make sure I got rid of that. Okay, great. Cool. So let's bring this up and rotate it Z90 and maybe X or Y, like rotate Y90, or I guess we'll do rotate Y -90. Perfect, cool. And then we'll bring it right here, bring it up, that, cool. And now we will start to shape, essentially we'll start to shape this around his shoulder like a little pauldron. So we'll do this, and then we'll bring this down. Ooh. Why do I have disconnected edges? That is odd. So I will select these and go M, merge at last. Now that should fix the problem. Seems like I have some weird disconnected edges, which bothers me. Select that, merge at last. Let's see if this one's disconnected as well. Yeah, it's disconnected. Merge at last. Okay, there we go. I wonder if this one's kind of messed up too. Okay, no, we're good. Okay, so let's continue. Let's take this guy, bring it down. Take this guy, bring it down. Let's take this guy and bring it down as well. And basically do something like this, where I want to make kind of like just essentially I'm just making a pauldron, if I'm honest with you. Yeah, perfect. Yes, that looks awesome. All right, cool. That's great. So let's bring this up and let's scale it a little bit. Scale it down, maybe scale it up. Maybe do something like this. And go into the edge mode and round out the pauldron over there like that, and give it a kind of, give it more of a point. Do the same thing here. Yes. Okay, great. Yeah, awesome. That looks pretty good. Now we will select, before we, you know what, that's fine. We'll select the whole thing with A, and then we'll extrude out up again like this to give it some thickness, to give it that thickness and make it feel more like armor. And then we will add a subdivision surface to smooth it all out. Maybe bump the levels up. And then let's keep bumping, let's keep increasing the height a little bit. And now we will add a couple of edge loops to sharpen it a little bit. One right here, and an edge loop right there, and maybe one right here. Yeah, cool. Cool. All right. Bring this guy down a little bit. Kind of want to bump up his hood, make it kind of excessively large. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that's not bad. Maybe bump this guy up a tiny bit. Maybe bring this down. Actually, I might want to bring this in. Yeah, bring it in. Same with this one. In like this. And kind of like that. Yeah, there we go. I'm just moving this mesh around so that there's not as much overlap that I see, because it bothers me sometimes when it overlaps too much. Or at least where it looks like it's overlapping unnaturally. Alright, cool. Sorry about that. Unfortunately, Blender closed on me for a second, and I thought I lost a bunch of stuff. But thankfully I did not. So let's just redo a little bit of this. We'll select these guys down. Hey, I gave it a little bit too much thickness last time. Yeah, it crashed on me, unfortunately, but thankfully, the autosave feature in Blender managed to save most of it. So I was very glad about that. For a second, I was really worried I would have lost all this effort, because that would have kind of sucked. Let's select all these. Basically what I'm going to be doing right now is beveling to sharpen out this pauldron a little bit. So add a little bevel like this. Yeah, perfect. Cool. And then maybe, I think that's good. Let's bring this in like that. And then we will, you know what? What might be kind of nice is if I go into
like this. Maybe bring this out a little. Let's do this. Bring it out like that. Maybe do a rotate like this. Yeah, there we go. Cool. And then if I do something like that, it might help a little bit. Yes, there we go. That's great. Cool. Now, I notice that there's some weirdness happening around here, so I think what I'm going to try and do is do a... Well, let's see what happens when we turn off the... Yeah, there we go. Let's see. I wonder if I could just merge all these and do like a merge at last. Merge at last. And then turn back on that. Okay, there we go. It's not bad.
Okay, cool. So, I think I'll add one more edge loop right here. Just like that. And then I will select all of the vertices right there. Right here. And rotate it just a little bit. Yeah, rotate just a little bit. Perfect, cool.
There we go. That's feeling more kind of like molded leather, I think. Yeah, great. And then we'll rotate this guy.
All right, cool. Excuse me. Okay, great. So we got a pauldron going now. And then we could probably scale. I want to scale it in like this, maybe. Scale it like that. All right, cool. Cool. So we got a pauldron now, and let's just add an additional layer here for it. So we'll essentially just duplicate it. And then we will scale it along the Y to round it out a little bit. And then, there we go. Cool. Now we got a double layered pauldron. It's looking like kind of like layers of leather, which is exactly what I want to go for. And the last thing I think I want to do is I wanted to do a little cloak underneath here. So to do that, I think the best way to do that is to do Shift A. We'll do a plane, rotate on the X, bring this up like this, bring this back like that. And then I think to do this, what I will do is, I think I'm just going to do an extrusion like this. I'm going to do a series of extrusions that kind of go around the arm. And then I will tweak it after. So I'm going to try and box out a rough shape right now. I'm going to box out a rough shape. And then we will tweak it after. We don't need any mirror modifiers or anything like that. We're just going to do a rough idea of a kind of a cloak or some sort of a cloth underneath the leather armor there. Something like this. Yeah, cool. That's pretty good. So I know that looks kind of crazy right now, but we will be tweaking this to feel a bit more natural, or look a bit more natural at least, in just a second. Yeah, the idea is to just get a rough shape in first, because I want this cloth to kind of look like it's coming from the underlying, this front piece right here, this front armor piece. I want it to look like it's coming from there, at least underneath there. Cool. All right, great. Let's select all this for a second. Maybe we'll do an extrusion, and we'll scale it like that. Yeah, perfect. Great.
Let's select this guy, bring him down, bring this guy down. Maybe bring this up, like that. This guy is looking kind of crazy right there. Same with this guy. I'm basically just pushing around vertices right now, which is sort of an old style, kind of like how 3D character modeling began before like sculpting tools. But I find this is an easy way to get started into it, and then when you're ready, you can move on towards the actual sculpting tools in Blender or something a little more professional like ZBrush, if you have access to those. Okay, great, cool. That looks good. I think I might add a subdivide, and then I'll select the whole thing and do an extrusion. Just a tiny little bit of an extrusion, just so that when it comes to 3D printing, it's a little bit easier. Then I will scale along the Z, scale along the Z, X, do something like that. Actually, you know what? It's probably good like this. Okay, sorry about that. Blender seems to be giving me a hard time right now when it comes to closing and crashing on me. So I think what we'll do is maybe we'll call it here for now. Unfortunately, I was not able to do this in 1 hour like I set out to do, but that's okay. I can post a part 2 of this after, especially if I manage to get Blender to start working again, where it doesn't crash on me. Thankfully, I am super appreciative of the autosave feature, because if not for that, I might have lost a bunch of work here, and that would have been a little upsetting, right? So what I'm doing here is just fixing up some of the mesh and stuff so that the overlap here isn't as obvious. I might even just bring this out and maybe even bring it down a little to hide it a bit more. There we go. Yeah, perfect. Cool. So I think we'll stop here for now. We got a good thing. We got a good thing going. So the last thing we'll do is we will duplicate this over. We'll apply this mirror modifier. Actually, you know what? No. So what I was going to do is kind of like what I did with the ears. I was going to have a mirror modifier around a reference object, this circle in the back, in order to duplicate this perfectly onto the opposite end. But I don't think I want to do that just yet. Instead, I will finish this half, finish the rest of the half body, and then do it all in one go, just in case there was any like little vertex tweaks I needed to do. So I think we'll stop here, and we will continue next week or tomorrow to finish off this Ranger character. So thanks for sticking around. If you have any questions or comments, leave it down below, or if you have any advice on how I can improve. Don't forget to look down below for the reference model if you want to follow along from where I started, and I'll catch you later. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for watching the video. If you like my content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let me know down below what you want to see next, or just check out some of these other great videos. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you later.